Hi friends, and welcome to our fourth and final Art at Home project for the month of May. I hope you've enjoyed yourself as you've been following along these last three projects, and I hope you're ready for one more really fun project today. Today we are going to be creating this really fun spring project that you can do using some things that you may find in your kitchen, tin foil, which is a common thing that most people have in their kitchen, as well as some recycled cardboard and a pipe cleaner and Sharpie markers. So those are the basic materials we're going to be using today. I made mine into a butterfly shape. You can do whatever you like with yours. This is just showing you how to make this technique work for you. Thank you so much to the Humboldt Area Arts Council for having me on their page this entire month of May. I've had so much fun starting on May 1st and going all the way till this Friday. Don't forget, this Friday I do have another doodle time with Sarah. We'll be rounding out the month with a really fun doodle session. So I hope you've joined me and you've had an exciting time learning how to use your imagination with things you can find in your home. One more thing I have to cover before we get started. Make sure you remember the 3 rules I introduced to you at the very first thing I did on May 1st. Number 1, always use your imagination. It's there, use it, exercise it, make sure it stays there and stays attuned to everything that's going on. And number 2, make sure you remember that nothing you doodle, draw, make is bad or wrong. It just be a different form of creativity. It can look different than mine, and that is a-okay. And number 3, always have fun. If you do those 3 things, then you are ready to go. Okay, if you've been around here long enough, you know that the first thing we do is introduce our materials. So let's start by doing that right now. First, I want you to find a piece of cardboard a little bit thicker. It can be a cereal box, it can be a pop box, it can be a gift box like you see here. We also need scissors, some type of tape. I switched from this packing tape to just regular Scotch tape at some point. Aluminum foil, which you can find in your kitchen. Some type of white glue. It's important that it's liquid glue, that will help. And then pipe cleaners are sort of optional, but I liked using them in this project. And then permanent markers. Those could be Sharpies or off-brand. It is going to be best if you use permanent markers for this rather than just regular washable markers. I do want to mention that some of these materials today might be for a little bit of an older age audience, so do what you can and use an adult or use a old shower curtain or something, or some newspaper underneath what you're doing so you don't get anything stained. Be careful, these markers could get on your clothes and they won't come out. And I also do want to remind you that tin foil can be sharp and cutting the tin foil can be difficult, so be careful. You don't want to get extra no fun injury while you're art making today, so be careful and use assistance if you need to. Safety is always key and something that we should remember first. Okay, so the first thing I do is I trace out a butterfly on my piece of cardboard. It's up to you. If you want to do a butterfly, go for it. I thought that would be a fun springtime symbol for us to use today, and it's a pretty easy shape to draw and decorate. But I also show me doing just a square of cardboard and then you do designs on there. It doesn't have to even be an object. It can be a fun design that you color in later. It can just be squiggles, anything like that. But here you see me drawing out a butterfly and then using my scissors to cut around the lines that I drew. No rules here, so if you want to make this into a dinosaur, go ahead. If you feel like making another castle from last week and doing it tinfoil style, that would be cool too. Just kind of think about how complex the shape is that you're gonna do. So the easier the shape, the less curves and edges, the easier it's going to be to put tinfoil on top of it. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your shape. And if you want to do a butterfly, go ahead and follow all of my steps through to the end. If not, you can just look at the technique and get off on your own creativity and fly away from my tutorial and do whatever you'd like. so now that I have my butterfly, I do want to mention that if you don't want to use glue, you could use string and glue that on top, or use pipe cleaners to make your patterns underneath the tin foil. I did not do it this way. I did it using glue, but if you'd like to, you can do it kind of like I'm showing in the video, and then when you put the tin foil over top of it, it'll make these elaborate bumps. So you could cover anything with tin foil. You could cover leaves you find outside and make a rubbing from the leaves into the tin foil. That would be really fun too. But I do go ahead and use a white glue for this butterfly, and the reason why I do that is because that's the technique I found that I wanted to use. The thing about using white glue with this project is you are going to have to wait probably overnight for this step to dry, because you can't start the next step until the glue has dried. So I would make sure that you leave enough time. You do this in the morning, and then maybe the next morning you pick up your project where it left off. So maybe this is a 2-day project for this one. To remember while you're doing the glue is going to be what's raised when you put your tin foil on. So after the glue has dried, it's kind of going to flatten out, and then we're going to put tin foil on top of the butterfly. And so what I do here is I make a pattern using the glue. Be careful because this glue is sticky. Usually it should come out if you wash your hands good with soap and water. But I do want to remind you that the lines you're drawing is what's going to be raised up in the tinfoil. So probably what is going to stay silver if you follow through my video the entire time. So think about that when planning in your head, and go ahead and design your butterfly or whatever shape you're doing with that in mind. And you can watch my tutorial and watch me handle this glue. As I said, this is a little bit tricky, so if you want to try gluing on yarn or something like that, or if you're an adult and you want to try hot glue and you don't want to wait, that's also an option. It will be a little thicker and it might create an interesting effect. Okay, I now do the top wings, and then I will do the bottom set of wings, and then I'm also going to do a smaller piece that's on a square so that you could see another option if you don't want to do an elaborate cutout piece. A square is also awesome. You could do it on a circle, something like that. You could even do it probably on the back of a paper plate or anything you find in your recycling bin, and then cover that with tinfoil as well. So as I mentioned before, you can see on my watch that it's in the middle of the afternoon, and I actually waited all the way until the next day, the middle of the afternoon. So it's gonna take a while for these to dry. They look really cool right now. Make sure they're in a safe place. There is gonna be a few mistakes. There's gonna be lines that bleed together. That is really okay. Remember, that's rule number 2, there's no mistakes. So basically, you're just gonna wanna watch these. They're gonna dry overnight. Be careful, don't run into them when you're running through the hallways of your house, and leave them sitting there so they can dry effectively overnight. Okay, so now you can see that the glue has dried overnight, and now you can see that I have pulled out some aluminum foil and covering the square with the aluminum foil. And then I'm gonna tape it onto the back so that it stays flat and it makes it easier for me to do the front side. Mostly my fingers to smooth out the front side. It's going to be hard to see, but you can see that there's indentation from the glue. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a whole nother layer of glue after the first layer dries, and maybe it'll build up even more. And that's what I mentioned about the hot glue as well. You could do that too. But I thought that it was enough for me to be able to follow it with my Sharpie, and I use the Sharpie pen kind of to help with the pattern, but I also just use my fingers and run it over, and I try to sense where the lines are, and then from there, that's how I will color it. Now I'm going to take some tinfoil out of the tinfoil roll and cover the butterfly with tinfoil. This is going to be a little bit trickier because it's not just a flat piece of cardboard in a square shape like the first one was. This one has a lot more curves and edges, so I'm going to take my time. I'm going to make sure I don't rip the tinfoil. That's a really hard thing that you need to think about as you're doing this entire project, is try your best not to rip the tinfoil, because it's going to be harder to work on the front if it's ripped on the back or through the front. And it's not going to quite give the exact same effect, so you just have to be really patient and use tender care with it. And you can see here I've moved to Scotch tape because I thought that was easier for all these rounded edges. You can also see me cutting off excess tinfoil because I don't need all of that tinfoil that's all the way around. I cut a really big piece and I don't want all of that on the back of my butterfly taking up space and making it awkward for me to draw on. So just use this video as a guide for you, and then prepare for the next step. Okay, so now that we've covered both of our butterfly and the other piece with tin foil and taped on the back, it's going to be the fun part to start to add color. So when you use permanent markers or Sharpies on tin foil, it creates this really cool, like almost watercolor looking effect. So remember, you can blend colors in. It would be really cool if you try to do that. You can use whatever colors you want. You could just do black if you only have a black Sharpie. I have a bunch of colors I'm playing around with here. And the basic thing is you're gonna feel the glue underneath of the tin foil while you're doing the drawing. And the best thing to do is just be patient and run your pen along the edges of the glue, and that's gonna give you almost a coloring book outline for your shapes. The patterns that you did with the glue, you might find out are kind of complex and hard to read through. That's totally okay. Just go with what you think is right and make some necessary creative changes to your design if you'd like, and I'm sure it's going to turn out beautiful. I love the way the permanent marker looks with the tin foil on top, because it gives such a shiny metallic effect, and if you were to hang this from the ceiling or put this on a wall, it would bounce light off so pretty with the natural light that comes in the window at different times of the day. Take your time. Remember, this is a different type of canvas that you're working with here. Last week we did castles and we were working with a paper canvas. This is a tin foil canvas. It just reminds you that you can create art on almost any surface. You could be creating art straight onto the back of a cereal box. You could be creating art on a recyclable milk carton. You could use that to make art. There's so many things you can use that you already have to make art with. And this is another example of one that you have probably right around your home. So use this as a canvas, have fun, play around, explore the material. It's going to take some time to learn what the material is, how it malleates to the mark of your pen, the mark of your finger, and just kind of learn what are the properties of tin foil when it comes to tin foil art. What else could you make out of tin foil? There's so many options. I hope you explore those this week and you have so much fun with this project. this smaller piece just as another example for you to be able to do exploring those tinfoil properties and learning how to use that as a canvas as well. Last thing I did to complete my butterfly was add antennas. So I took a pipe cleaner, so that's kind of an optional material that we have today, and I made a curlicue out of them, folded it in half, and taped it to my butterfly so that my butterfly would have a really cute antenna. And you can choose what you'd like to do. You don't have to add this, of course, but it's a really fun effect. And I do enjoy using pipe cleaners. They are fun on their own, so you could explore that as a material to create art with as well. That's it for now. I am so thankful for you. I'm so glad you joined. I'm glad you made this a part of your weekly adventures during this quarantine COVID-19 season, and I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful end to the month of May, and get excited for June because it's going to be a great month too, and we've got nowhere to go but bigger and better things. So I hope you stay in touch with me and you continue to interact in the comments. I love to see what you guys are making and sending me, and I do want to just thank you again from the bottom of my heart for believing in me and supporting me throughout all of this. It means a lot. There you have it, folks. We made some really fun tinfoil art today. I hope you enjoyed your time. I hope you dove into a new material that you maybe didn't expect to be using in the art room. And I hope you stayed safe and didn't ruin your clothes, because that's also important. And we don't want to make Mom mad when she goes to do laundry. So thanks for tuning in today. I've had so much fun with you this month of May. I have enjoyed my time. I've learned so much from all of you. You don't even know that you're teaching me, and I am learning at the same time. So I want to thank you for that. I do also want to thank the Humboldt Area Arts Council, because they've given me this opportunity and this platform to teach art to kids while they're at home and they don't have classes to go to. So thank you to them for this opportunity, and I hope that you all have grown by using your imagination and having fun and remembering to try your best to not criticize yourself while art making, because we're all learning and we're all having fun at home during this time. And I hope you have had fun, because I know I have. Okay, that's it. I'll see you on Friday for doodle time. We're gonna have a good time then, as we always do. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.